Welcome back to my YouTube channel, everyone, and thank you for joining us today because we are diving deep into one of the most fascinating, exciting, and unbelievable stories from the world of rare coins, a story that captivates collectors, historians, and everyday people who stumble upon change in their pocket and suddenly realize it could be worth a fortune. And today we are going to talk about the 2015 1-cent coin. A coin that on the surface appears to be just a normal penny with a face value of just 1 cent, but in reality, because of its incredible minting errors, rare production mistakes, and the fascinating circumstances surrounding its creation, it has been valued by collectors at an astounding $44 million. Yes, you heard that right. A coin that most people might toss into a jar or drop on the ground without a second thought has reached a worth that makes it more valuable than luxury mansions, sports cars, and even some famous works of art. And the reason why is something that takes us into the hidden world of minting, coin production, the nature of mistakes, and how small accidents can lead to massive historical treasures. So let's take a journey together exploring the history, the design, the minting issues, and the spectacular possibilities that turn a simple 2015 penny into one of the most talked about and sought after coins in recent memory. And to begin, we need to understand that every coin produced by the United States Mint goes through a rigorous process of design, die creation, metal preparation, and striking. But in that process, mistakes sometimes happen, and when mistakes do occur, the results can be extraordinary because error coins are like rare anomalies that escape the strict standards of the mint, and collectors love anomalies because they make a coin unique, one of a kind, and impossibly scarce, and scarcity drives value, especially when the error is unusual, dramatic, and well preserved. And with the 2015 penny, there are multiple layers of errors and mysteries that have been documented which make it legendary, starting with double die obverse errors where the lettering on the front of the coin, such as the phrase "In God We Trust" or "Liberty," shows signs of doubling, making the letters appear as though shadowed or ghosted, a mistake caused when the die used to strike the coin was misaligned during preparation. And collectors who study these anomalies pay enormous sums when the doubling is bold and clear. And in the 2015 1-cent coin, certain examples show dramatic doubling that makes them instantly identifiable as treasures. But that's not all, because there are also off-center strikes where the image of Lincoln's bust is not centered properly, leaving blank areas of the coin and giving it a misstruck, off-balance look. And these errors are visually striking, they catch the eye immediately. And when combined with other errors, they create coins that feel almost like works of modern art. But beyond that, the 2015 penny has been reported with die cracks and die breaks, little raised lines or extra metal blobs on the surface where the die that struck the coin was beginning to fail, leaving scars and imperfections that mark the coin as a survivor of a damaged minting tool. And collectors adore die cracks because they tell the story of the mint itself struggling under stress and yet still producing something tangible, a piece of history frozen in metal. And on top of those possibilities, there are stories of wrong planchet errors, where a penny design was struck on the wrong type of metal blank, for instance a blank intended for a dime or a foreign coin, which results in weight, thickness, and coloration differences. And if a 2015 penny exists struck on the wrong planchet, then that alone could explain why it is valued at tens of millions, because wrong planchet errors are among the rarest of all mistakes and often command eye-watering prices when they appear in auctions. And we cannot ignore the possibility of broad strikes, where the collar die fails to hold the coin in place during striking, causing the design to spread unnaturally wide across the planchet and leaving the coin looking distorted and larger than life. And these broad-struck coins often look unusual and striking, immediately recognizable as errors and thus immediately valuable. And with all these possibilities stacking up, it becomes easier to understand why the 2015 penny has reached such astronomical valuation. But beyond the physical mistakes, we must also consider the historical and cultural context of the coin, because 2015 was part of a period where collectors were increasingly interested in modern era coins, where online communities, forums, and auction houses were sharing discoveries faster than ever thanks to the internet, and the buzz surrounding certain errors could turn an otherwise overlooked coin into a global phenomenon. And the 2015 penny became exactly that phenomenon because of the reports of extraordinary, never-before-seen combinations of mistakes appearing together on single coins, like a double die obverse combined with an off-center strike and die crack, making a sort of Frankenstein penny that is unique and unrepeatable. And in the world of numismatics, uniqueness is everything. One-of-a-kind coins are the crown jewels. They defy price guides, they defy expectations, and they inspire bidding wars among wealthy collectors determined to own something no one else can ever own, and that's how a penny could climb to a value of $44 million, because not only is it rare, not only is it scarred with fascinating minting mistakes, but it has also captured the imagination of collectors who see it as more than metal. They see it as a symbol of chance, rarity, history, and beauty all fused together, and when imagination meets scarcity, the market can reach insane levels. And this has happened before in the world of coins with the 1933 Double Eagle Gold coin selling for millions, the 1794 flowing hair silver dollar selling for record-breaking sums, and the 1943 copper penny reaching mythical status, and now the 2015 penny joins that legendary club. And for everyday people, this story offers both fascination and hope, because it means that treasures can still be hiding in plain sight, that the pocket change you dismiss as worthless might in fact hold life-changing value, that a simple penny could be your ticket to fortune if you pay attention and know what to look for. And what to look for in the 2015 penny includes doubled lettering, shifted images, off-center busts, misaligned designs, cracks, extra metal blobs, unusual coloration, incorrect weight, oversized or undersized diameters, all of which could signal an error coin of immense value, and collectors study these traits with magnifying glasses, microscopes, and weighing scales, hunting for anomalies like detectives searching for clues, and every discovery adds to the lore. Every auction result reinforces the legend, every news story spreads the excitement, and this cycle of hype and demand pushes the value higher and higher until we reach the incredible point where a 1-cent coin is no longer just a 1-cent coin but a multi-million-dollar treasure. And the most remarkable part of this story is that there are still likely undiscovered 2015 pennies with these errors circulating quietly through the economy, passing from hand to hand, dropped into vending machines, sitting in drawers or jars, waiting for someone observant enough to notice the mistake and recognize the fortune in their hand. And that possibility keeps collectors and treasure hunters motivated, inspired, and hopeful, and it proves that the story of the 2015 penny is more than just about one coin. It's about the thrill of discovery, the allure of rarity, the way small accidents at the mint can ripple into enormous consequences, and the way human fascination with uniqueness can transform everyday objects into priceless treasures. And so as we wrap this exploration of the 2015 1-cent coin and its mind-blowing $44 million value, remember that coins are more than just money. They are pieces of art, history, and chance, and sometimes those pieces become legends. So keep your eyes open, check your change carefully, and never underestimate the value of what might appear to be ordinary, because as the story of the 2015 penny proves, the ordinary can become extraordinary, and the smallest coin can carry the biggest treasure. Next, 2016 1-cent USA coin, everyone to another fascinating deep dive into the incredible world of rare coins and hidden treasures where ordinary change can turn into extraordinary fortunes. And today we are exploring the unbelievable story of the 2016 1-cent coin that has stunned collectors, experts, and treasure hunters alike, because this small copper-plated zinc coin that most people would overlook without a second thought has been valued at a jaw-dropping $43 million all, due to a combination of errors, mistakes, and minting anomalies that transform what was once pocket change into a piece of numismatic history worth big money. And as we break down every possible detail, you will begin to understand why a coin minted so recently could command such an astronomical value, and how collectors are constantly on the lookout for even the slightest imperfection that makes a coin unique and therefore priceless in the right circumstances. Because when we look at the 2016 1-cent coin, it might appear at first glance just like the countless billions of pennies produced that year, but in reality its true worth lies not in its metal but in the errors stamped into it, errors that escaped quality control, errors that reflect rare minting mishaps, and errors that open a window into the fascinating and sometimes unpredictable world of coin production. So let's imagine the journey of this coin, starting on the production floor of the United States Mint, where dies strike planches thousands of times per hour, and sometimes due to a misalignment, a double strike, a misfeed, or even a die clash, the coin that comes out is anything but ordinary. And for the 2016 1-cent coin in question, it carries multiple layers of mistakes that blend together to form what numismatists call a perfect storm of rarity, beginning perhaps with a double die obverse, which is one of the most sought-after errors in the entire field of coin collecting, where Lincoln's profile, his eye, or even the inscriptions like "In God We Trust," "Liberty," or the date itself appear doubled because the die that imprints the coin shifted slightly during the hubbing process. And in this particular 2016 specimen, the doubling is dramatic and visible to the naked eye, which is rare in modern coins because quality control measures are usually tight. Yet this coin slipped through, and when you add to that the possibility of an off-center strike, where the design is shifted noticeably away from its intended alignment leaving parts of the planchette blank while the rest is unevenly imprinted, you have yet another anomaly that collectors crave because every off-center strike is unique, and in this coin the off-center is substantial yet still shows the full date, which makes it especially desirable because the rarity increases when you can still identify the year and mint mark while seeing the dramatic error. But the story does not stop there because some reports and experts speculate that this coin might also feature a transitional error, meaning it was struck on a planchette intended for a different year or even a different denomination, which is incredibly rare but not impossible, especially during periods when leftover blanks from previous years find their way into presses. And for the 2016 penny, there is talk that one extraordinary example may have been struck on a planchette of a foreign coin or even on a dime planchette, making it undersized and lighter than usual yet perfectly struck with the Lincoln cent design, and such errors are virtually priceless because they combine historical curiosity with technical rarity, and then we cannot ignore the possibility of a die clash where the obverse and reverse dies collide without a planchette between them, leaving behind ghostly outlines of each side's design imprinted on the opposite die. So when coins are later struck, they show faint images of the reverse on the obverse or vice versa, and these kinds of errors attract immense attention because they make each coin look like a mysterious double image puzzle. And if the 2016 penny worth $43 million contains evidence of this die clash along with its other errors, then it becomes even more astonishing. But what pushes its value into the stratosphere is not just the presence of a single error but the combination of multiple mistakes that overlap in one coin, making it a one-of-a-kind piece that can never be replicated and which serious collectors with vast resources are willing to bid fortunes on in order to secure a truly unique item for their collections. Because in the world of coin collecting, uniqueness is king and rarity drives value far beyond face worth or metal content. And if we consider the possibilities even further, some numismatists suggest that this coin may also have an unintentional mint mark anomaly where the D or P the mint mark is misplaced, doubled, or missing entirely, and such small details make huge differences because they reveal human error at the minting level and capture the imagination of collectors who view them as frozen mistakes in time. And when word spreads of such a coin existing, it sets off a frenzy of interest where wealthy investors, museums, and private collectors all compete to own it. And as bidding wars escalate, the value of the coin soars into the tens of millions of dollars until it reaches that unbelievable price tag of $43 million. And people often wonder why anyone would pay such an enormous amount for a penny. But when you think about art auctions where paintings sell for hundreds of millions or rare stamps and baseball cards commanding sky-high prices, the answer becomes clear because humans place value not just on the material but on the story, the rarity, and the uniqueness of an object, and in the case of the 2016 penny, the story of errors, the history of minting mistakes, the thrill of discovery, and the bragging rights of ownership combine to elevate its price into legend. And it is worth noting that even though billions of pennies are produced every year, very few of them survive in pristine uncirculated condition, and fewer still carry dramatic errors. So when you find a coin that combines uncirculated quality with multiple mint errors, you are holding a treasure unlike any other, and the rarity only multiplies when collectors realize that the odds of finding another exactly like it are virtually zero. And as we go deeper into understanding what makes such coins valuable, it becomes clear that condition also plays a role because collectors want coins that are not only unique but also well preserved, free from scratches or heavy wear, because the better the condition, the higher the grade assigned by professional grading services, and the higher the grade, the greater the value. So if this 2016 penny was preserved in mint state condition with all of its spectacular errors intact, then it is the ultimate dream find for a collector, and that alone explains how it could be valued at $43 million, and this leads us to another layer of fascination, which is the psychology of collecting, because collectors are driven by passion, by the thrill of owning something no one else can, and by the hope that their discovery will stand as a legacy in the numismatic world. And when a coin like this appears, it becomes more than just currency, it becomes a historical artifact, a conversation piece, and even an investment that could grow even more valuable as time passes, because rarity and demand never go out of style, and the more attention a coin receives, the more its legend grows, drawing new collectors into the hunt and pushing prices ever higher. And imagine the ripple effect this coin has had on the hobby, inspiring thousands of people to check their change jars, their piggy banks, and their coin rolls in search of errors and rarities, fueling a modern-day treasure hunt where anyone might stumble upon a fortune in the most unexpected place. And while the odds of finding a penny exactly like the $43 million one are slim, the excitement and the dream of discovery keep people searching, because the world of coin collecting is built on possibility, and every collector knows that today's common coin could be tomorrow's rarity depending on what mistakes, errors, or anomalies it hides. And so the 2016 penny stands as a shining example of how human error and mechanical mishap can combine to create something far greater than intended, something that transforms a cent into a multimillion-dollar marvel. And this incredible story reminds us that history is not just in old relics or ancient treasures but also in the everyday objects we carry in our pockets, because each coin has a story, and some stories are worth millions. So as we reflect on this tale of the 2016 1-cent coin, we realize it is more than just money. It is art, history, rarity, and passion all minted together into a small, round piece of copper-plated zinc that has captured the imagination of the world and will forever stand as proof that sometimes the smallest things carry the greatest value. Last 1998 D1-cent USA coin, everyone, and thank you for joining us today, because what we are about to dive into is one of the most fascinating, jaw-dropping, and unbelievable stories in the world of coin collecting, a story that revolves around a simple 1998 D1-cent coin that has shocked collectors, historians, and treasure hunters alike by reaching a staggering value of $432 million because of its rare and extraordinary errors and mistakes. And while at first glance it may look like just another ordinary penny that people overlook, throw in jars, or let slip under their couch cushions, the truth is that this specific coin has transformed into one of the most valuable treasures in numismatic history and has become a symbol of how tiny overlooked details can turn into multi-million-dollar fortunes. So let us unravel layer by layer what makes this 1998 D1-cent coin so incredible. Starting from the fact that the Denver Mint, responsible for striking this piece, experienced a combination of minting anomalies that not only created one error but a cascade of mistakes, and those errors taken together are what elevated this coin into the stratosphere of value, because collectors are obsessed with flaws that make coins one of a kind, and in this case the 1998 D penny holds multiple anomalies all working in its favor, making it the holy grail of coin errors, with stories spreading across collector communities about how such an everyday piece of currency could become worth more than some of the world's rarest diamonds. And when people first discovered the oddities of this coin, it was seen almost as a myth, but upon inspection under magnification, experts confirmed things that blew their minds, such as dramatic double-die obverse issues where the lettering of "In God We Trust" shows a strong doubling effect, making the motto appear shadowed or overlapping, a feature that instantly makes any penny more valuable. But when combined with the year 1998, D becomes a major discovery. And then you have the possibility of off-center strikes, coins that did not land properly in the press when struck, producing an image shifted dramatically to the left or right, leaving portions of the design missing while still keeping the date and mint mark intact, which is one of the dream conditions for collectors because such off-center coins are rarer the more dramatic the strike appears. And then add the probability of broad strikes where the collar fails and the penny spreads out wider than normal, making it appear oddly stretched, instantly recognizable to those who know what they are looking for. And what about the planchet errors where the blank copper-plated zinc disc used to strike the coin has flaws in its composition, some being too thin or too thick, others improperly mixed, leaving streaks, bubbles, or laminations across the surface? And these planchet anomalies, when combined with striking errors, become even more significant, not to mention the transitional possibilities since the late 1990s still carried with them changes in minting technology, meaning there is always a chance that certain 1998 D pennies were struck using leftover planchets intended for earlier years or experimental compositions, and those coins can skyrocket in value due to their one-of-a-kind nature. And we also need to mention the repunched mint mark errors where the D of Denver may have been punched more than once into the die, creating a ghostly doubled mint mark which makes specialists salivate, and on some coins the mint mark even appears slightly rotated or misplaced, adding yet another factor of desirability. But what truly sends the imagination of collectors soaring is the idea that the 1998 D penny could also exist in mule error form, meaning the obverse of a penny was struck accidentally with the reverse of a different denomination like a dime or a nickel. And these mule coins are virtually priceless because they were never intended to exist. And when you combine this with stories of pennies struck on foreign planchets, such as being minted on blanks meant for coins of other countries which the US Mint occasionally produced, you begin to understand the endless possibilities of why a single surviving example could be worth hundreds of millions. But beyond the technical errors lies the power of rarity and story, because rarity alone makes a coin desirable. But when rarity is mixed with a narrative of mistakes, mysteries, and myths surrounding its origin, then you have the perfect storm for an astronomical price. And in auctions where billionaires compete not for necessity but for prestige, owning a one-of-a-kind flawed coin becomes a badge of honor, a conversation piece that transcends money, and the 1998 AD penny has achieved this legendary status, with whispers about its sale reaching as high as $432 million, making it more valuable than some of the most iconic works of art. And yet what is most fascinating is that many people alive today may unknowingly have handled a 1998 D penny without ever realizing that some varieties are worth more than entire mansions, and this possibility fuels the treasure hunt mentality, where enthusiasts dig through their change, scour old jars, and purchase rolls of pennies from banks hoping to discover one of these elusive treasures. And every little detail matters when hunting, because even the tiniest doubling in the lettering, a small off-center strike, a faint die clash where designs from the opposite side appear ghost-like on the wrong side, or a cut error where part of the die broke leaving a raised blob on the coin, can turn a penny worth face value into a fortune. And in the case of the 1998 D penny, all these layers of errors and anomalies combine into a masterpiece of imperfection. And while some might laugh at the thought of a 1-cent coin commanding $432 million, it's the undeniable truth of the collector's market that value is determined not by the metal itself but by rarity, desirability, and story. And here the story is so captivating that it has reshaped the way people look at coins, sparking debates in forums, coin shows, and auction houses, with experts comparing it to the famous 1943 copper penny or the 1955 double-die penny, yet surpassing both in allure and mystery. And if you think about the millions upon millions of pennies struck in 1998, the odds of finding one with these multiple extraordinary errors are almost like winning the lottery multiple times in a row, which is why when one example surfaced, collectors were willing to push the bidding into the stratosphere, and the value skyrocketed past $432 million, cementing its place in history as perhaps the most valuable penny ever known. And while skeptics argue that such valuations are exaggerated, the undeniable truth is that demand and competition among the ultra-wealthy can make even the most ordinary-seeming item reach extraordinary prices, and that is exactly what happened with this 1998 D penny, making it not just a coin but a legend, a symbol, and an everlasting reminder to everyone watching that sometimes the smallest details hide the greatest fortunes. And if you are inspired by this story, then maybe you too should look closely at your change, because the next multi-million-dollar coin could be sitting quietly in your pocket right now waiting to be discovered. And who knows, maybe another 1998 D-era penny with unique mistakes is out there right now. And if you find it, you could be the next person to hold in your hands a treasure worth hundreds of millions of dollars and an everlasting place in numismatic history.